आज हम जिन विद्वान का ये लेक्चर सुनने जा रहे हैं उनका परिचय इतना विशाल है कि उसको कुछ शब्दों में समेटना बहुत ही मुश्किल है। ये हमारे से ये जैन एकेडमी से बहुत टाइम से जुड़े हुए हैं, लेकिन एक ब्रीफ परिचय मैं उनका देना चाहूँगा। डॉक्टर सुलेख जैन has been active in many religious and social activities within the Jain and non-Jain communities in the US and Canada. Dr. Jain is founder of more than dozen organizations and institutions in North America. He is ex-president, secretary and president of Federation of Jain Association in North America, JANA. So Jain Society of Houston, Jain Center of I'm sorry, I am not able to spell out, and several other organizations. Currently, he is associated with the International School for Jain Studies and was a board member of Mahatma Gandhi Library in Houston, Texas. Suleik Jain has also authored one book and he has circulated this book also. I have this at least, An Ahimsa Crisis, You Decide. He has also written more than 60 articles on Ahimsa, Gandhi and Jainism. International School for Jain Studies, which he co-founded in 2004 to educate and train scholars in Jainism, has been instrumental in changing the face of a Jain academic study in North America and Europe by educating and training more than 800 undergraduate, graduate, postdoctoral and full-time faculty. Jain Academy study are slowly now finding welcome mats at many colleges and universities here in USA and Canada. Professionally, Dr. Jain has a PhD in mechanical engineering and MBA. He has taught at several universities in USA, including at MIT as a guest lecturer, Canada, UK and India. He retired in 1998 from GE Airport Engine, Kohima. Dr. Jain has 9 US and international technical patents and has authored more than 50 technical papers. He was an international consultant in technology and was the vice president of Metalworking Consultant Group. For a few years, he was also a consultant to NATO on their Science for Peace program. Dr. Jain has won awards from commercial, professional and religious organizations, particularly the Jaina Ratna Award of Excellence by International Jain Sangh of New Jersey, USA, and from Jain Society of Houston, Texas. Currently, his only passion is to facilitate establishment of Center of Jain Studies in academia. Suleik Jain and his wife have been active in many Indian and non-Indian organizations such as Vegan Society and others. Currently, they live in Henderson, Nevada, a suburb of Las Vegas. I shall like to add that he and his family is vegan by choice and by practicing vegan. I am very much impressed by this. And also he is involved in establishing Jain chair in various universities. As I learned that they are trying or they have established about 21 chairs in different universities. It is really a great work. And with this, I shall like Dr. Suleik Jain to please give your talk on your subject on Brahmacharya. Please, Dr. Suleik Jain, please.
जय जयेंद्र, नमस्कार अनिल भाई साहब। इतने लंबे मेरे बारे में बताने की जरूरत नहीं थी। एक ही अगर चीज आप बता देते कि मैं JAS का मेंबर हुआ, ये मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी ऑनर है. That's the only introduction I need. So
सबको तो जानना जरूरी है साहब, आपके काम इतने हैं, उससे हम लोगों को भी प्रेरणा मिलेगी, ऐसा नहीं है.
So anyway, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for giving me this chance. I know many of you, and some of those people whom I do not know, I say again my namaskar. And the topic today I select especially, and you know how I titled it, the other meaning of Brahmacharya. And the reason is the one professor here, he was going to design a course on Jainism and Ahimsa. Okay. And he was going to advertise. And then he thought, if he says Jainism and Ahimsa, maybe only few people might register. So he changed the title of that course, and he said, the other 9/11. You know 9/11 in America, just like 26/11 in India. So he titled that course, the other 9/11. What does that mean? The real 9/11 was to destruction. The other 9/11 is of compassion, karuna, daya, ahimsa. So his class was over full just by changing the title of that course. So I said, well, if I call it the other meaning of Brahmacharya, maybe a lot of more people will show up. So anyway, thank you, and Jai Jinendra. It's an honor for me to be talking to you. This topic has been very, very of interest to me for many, many years. And I put this caution and warning. Caution and warning is not that I'm going to threaten anybody. I'm not a scholar of anything other than being an engineer. That was also many, many years ago. So I've not read any scriptures or any agams. And what I'm going to share with you are purely my thought, my thinking. This may or may not be true from the agamic point of view. Probably, most probably, this would not be something that you might agree. But my only request is that in the spirit of Anekantvad, please listen to me up to the end of this, and then we will have a very good discussion. Only thing that I want to tell you is that I have shared this with few people over here, people of my age, and many of them, they did not agree what I was going to say, and which you will see. However, the younger janta, younger people over here whom I shared this in a couple of meetings, they liked it very much. So now I leave it to you, how you like it or not like it. So let me start very quickly. Ahimsa and Jainism. I will not have a lot of slides, only few because of the time. We all know. This is something I found most interesting. The most beautiful word ever written in any language, in any culture, anywhere in the world, and at any time in the entire history of the human race is Ahimsa. And we should be proud of that. This is what a beautiful, about Ahimsa. And Bhagwan Mahavir, he was the biggest promoter, which you all know. And among the religion, none has made the striving for peace more central. None has called its follower to higher standards of Ahimsa than Jainism. How sweet it is that we belong to a religion like this. Okay, we all know this. I'm not going to preach this to you. You know more than I do. 5 commandments, 5 vows. And I've started calling them vows or commandments because commandment words is very, very common here. 10 commandments, 5 commandments. So, यहाँ पर सबसे ऊपर है ahimsa. And after that, I show 4, which Mahavir, and this is what I have read and heard from many people, that before Bhagwan Mahavir, 4 ही vows थे, 4 ही महाव्रत थे. Bhagwan Mahavir added the 5th one, which is Brahmacharya. And I call them, these are the vows, the process, the guide, the path or system to practice Ahimsa. You cannot practice Ahimsa just simple alone. You have to practice, you have to all 4 or 5, then you have a complete practice of ahimsa. These are the code of conduct like the 10 commandments. Okay. And I probably may not have in this slide, but if you look at out of 10 Christian commandments, 6 are based on ahimsa. Only 4 are different. 6 are based on ahimsa. So these are the guide of a Jain in his journey of life from birth to death. So what is brahmacharya? That's what I want to come. I'm not going to talk much about ahimsa, even though I can give a separate talk on ahimsa. Now, to me, it is Sanskrit word. Maybe you people might say it is Hindi or some other, I don't know, but I wrote down it is brahmacharya, Sanskrit word. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no similar word in English language, just like there's no parallel word for ahimsa in any language. Okay, to define completely, simply, I think brahmacharya cannot be defined. The only in English, what I have come to know that they define is a celibacy. Okay, I don't know if there is any other parallel word, brahmacharya. Okay, so what is brahmacharya? Again, it consists of 2 words, brahm and charya. And brahm, in my opinion, means Atma, Bhagwan, or God. And charya means to dwell, to live in it. So brahmacharya means to dwell in one's Atma or in Bhagwan or God. That's my thinking. And Mahatma Gandhi said, brahmacharya, it is a way of life which leads us to Brahma or God. So brahmacharya, it means to live in ahimsa, because it's part of ahimsa. Equanimity, equality, and hatred towards none. And I call it to live in vitragta. And literally means going after seeking Brahman, supreme reality, self or God. That's what I understand about this word brahmacharya. So all along I had heard and understood the brahmacharya means celibacy. From the day 1 when I started hearing this word, brahmacharya means celibacy. To me, it is a lot more than just celibacy only. And you will see what I mean. So celibacy is only one part of brahmacharya, not completely. Brahmacharya is a lot more than that. So, and this is part, celibacy is not for everyone. In fact, for grast लोगों के लिए, उनके लिए कह दो कि complete celibacy रहो, वो possible नहीं है. But brahmacharya is for everyone. These are the 2 distinctions. Celibacy is not for everyone, but brahmacharya is for everyone. Once we get out of this pure simple definition of celibacy. So celibacy is highly desirable for sadhus and sadhus. They must be celibate, at least in Indian tradition. But for ordinary household, it is optional, depend upon one's circumstances and situations. Okay, so that's the Anuvrat side. Celibacy is an integral part of ahimsa, as you saw out of 5 Mahabharata, and violation of the vow of celibacy by any mendicant, sadhu, is himsa. Sadhus are not allowed. Or any sexual act, however, in any shape or form, that's himsa, killing or ekandriya mobile. And this is the ideal view, in my opinion. But complete celibacy for monks and nuns with self-restraint and mastery of and perfect full control over the sexual, sensual needs, organs, and desire. This means complete freedom from lust in thought, word, and deed. This is for sadhus and sadhvis. Okay. However, in certain religious traditions such as Islam, Judaism, Sikhism, and some tradition of Christianity, sadhus and sadhvis are what I call mendicants, or clergy and spiritual teachers, may or may not follow celibacy. It is not mandatory for them, especially in Islam, Judaism, and Sikhism, at least I know. In fact, but Catholic priests are required to be celibate, but their followers are not required to be celibate. Okay, only for Catholic priests. So what is it for householder? Householder control, restraint, and limits on fulfillment of karma sensual needs and pleasures. So brahmacharya is the virtue, celibacy when unmarried. That's where celibacy comes, when unmarried. And fidelity and absence of adultery when married. Okay, वहां पर अनुव्रत आ गया. साधुओं के लिए महाव्रत है और गृहस्थ के लिए अनुव्रत. So I say here, ब्रह्मचर्य के 4 कंपोनेंट हैं. क्या? Complete freedom from lust for sadhus and sadhvis. ब्रह्मचर्य, महाव्रत. Chastity, celibacy, and limit on fulfillment of calm sensual needs for householders. Anuvrat. To dwell in Brahma, Atma, for all truth seekers. So all the above fall into self-penance, spiritual upliftment of the self. Tapasya, individual ke liye hai. But the 4th component is again very important. Respect and treatment of women and men, both genders, as fully equal in all respect. And this is true for all monks and nuns and householders. साधुओं को भी equal treatment देना है female को, and of course गृहस्थ को देना. So this falls into the category of observing ahimsa towards other human beings, and also human rights, and particularly human rights. Human rights, and many times people call it human rights, only men rights. I say no, it should be men right and women right. And this is for the treatment of others. So let's go on with this definition. So other important aspect of brahmacharya, apart from celibacy, and this is what I'm going to emphasize more and more in my talk. Brahmacharya deals with fair, ethical, and equal, and ahimsak. Fair, ethical, and equal ahimsak. What? Use, interaction, treatment, and status of women and women in the society. Without this firm attitude, practice of brahmacharya and even of celibacy is incomplete. How can you live? How can you dwell in an Atma? How can you live in Brahma unless you have this equality complete? हम animal equal rights की बात करते हैं. Here I am going to talk women rights. Okay, and you will see why. So other meaning of brahmacharya is a must code of conduct for men and women to observe strict and moral control with chastity, purity, and ethical limits for the fulfillment of sexual and sensual needs, and treat women as complete, equal, and honor and dignity in all respects and activities in society and life, and abstain from harming and committing any himsa, directly and indirectly, to women and opposite sex. And I will keep on emphasizing how important this is. Now, this is the definition of brahmacharya, which I say is more than, much bigger than just celibacy only. Now, let's look at why. Status of women in the society before and during and after Bhagwan Mahavir. If they're all equal, then Bhagwan Mahavir would not have bothered about this. So what did he do? How were the women? Throughout the history of human race, women have been treated as a property of men. Just objects or commodities with inferiority, torture, disdain, and with discrimination. And in the scheme of things, women practically have no rights to life, liberty, justice, happiness, freedom, and even to their own body. Okay, how cruel it is. Men accumulated and collected women to exhibit power, wealth, status, affluence, just like हमारे घोड़े, रथ, aeroplane these days, makan. इसी तरह men used to accumulate women, and they were sold and traded openly, enslaved, tortured, and abused, and they had no say, no right to vote, even to right to vote or to position and power. And my brother and sister, this is even today, not to the same extent it was 2000 years ago, but most of it is also today. Let's look at many wives, and polygamy was quite common. Most of the Raja, Maharaja, kings, emperors, powerful, rich people had many wives, and some of them hundreds, thousands, harems and concubines. And India and many other countries, a lot of stories are full of like that. Not uncommon. And to the best of my knowledge, no religion has been kind to women in any society anywhere. I'm talking of religion. ये देखिए, ये आजकल की स्टोरी है, ये दिगंबर जैन प्रेयर में जो पूजा करते हैं उसमें विष बेल रूप नारी कह गए योगेश्वरा, ये एक्चुअली जो है ना आजकल की स्टोरी है. विमेन इज पॉइजन आईवी. what a cruelty. ढोल गवार पशु शूद्र नारी सब ताड़न के अधिकारी, तुलसीदास कहते हैं रामायण में. इससे ज्यादा क्या विमेन के लिए कह सकते हैं. दिस इज सो हॉरिबल. विमेन बिफोर आई से, अपने यहाँ मैं जब बच्चा था सुनता था, कहानियां शुरू होती थी. एक राजा था, उसके इतनी बीवियां थी, इतनी रानियां थी. मैंने सुना भरत क्षत्रिय के 52,000 रानियां थी. Oh my gosh, कितनी हिंसा. This is not good. Okay, so even amongst Jain sadhus, no matter how old the sadhvi is, कितने साल की उसकी दीक्षा है, एक बच्चा वो आज मेल वो दीक्षा लेते साथ उस साध्वी को उसको नमस्कार करना पड़ता है. क्यों? Why is this also? Male domination. I know आपको थोड़ा कड़वा लगेगा ये, but ये truth है society में. And for the last 800 years, I'm not talking of Jains only. We have to look at we are very minuscule, less than 1% population. We have to look at the 99%. For the last 800 years, even today, women were not allowed. I don't know if they're allowed to go to some Hindu temple like Sabrimala temple in Kerala. Okay. And in many traditions, women are forbidden to pray in temple during their menstrual cycle. And women at all levels, sadhu, shravik and shravika, were not encouraged to study for a very, very long time. उनके लिए educated women educated sadhvi थी नहीं पहले. Sati tradition, not too long ago, only 250 years ago, 300 years. Young women were burnt alive in funeral pyre. इससे बड़ी हिंसा क्या होगी? Okay. हम एनिमल हिंसा की बात करते हैं, विमेन हिंसा. ये तो अंग्रेज लोग थे जिन्होंने हिंदुओं के प्रीस्ट के उनके अपोजिशन से भी उसको आउटला कर दिया. ओके. देवदासी ट्रेडिशन, एक्सप्लॉयटेशन ऑफ विमेन बाय मेल प्रीस्ट, क्वाइट कॉमन, इसको नाम दे दिया देवदासी. बट दीज वर जस्ट डावरी ट्रेडिशन. आप सब जानते हैं अभी भी जो है ना बर्निंग कितनी, टॉर्चर कितनी अभी भी रैम्पेंट है. ये सब विमेन के लिए हिंसा के उदाहरण है. Looking at the status and the treatment of women in this society, I'm trying to bring you where Mahabharat, this Brahmacharya Mahabharat fit in. Why did Mahavir add that? To be born as a woman in, by the way, what I've just shown you, the status of women, I probably will have another 50 more slides that will describe you, that tell you how cruel it is. So I did not have time to share, only few. I feel to be born as a woman is a result of bad karmas. To be born and being a woman is a big curse. और मैंने लिखा है kind of fifth गति. अपने यहाँ 4 गति हैं, 2 ऊपर हैं, मनुष्य गति and देव गति. नीचे वाली जो है नरक गति and त्रियंच गति. बार बार मैं सोचता हूँ जब देखता हूँ कि probably women नीचे होनी चाहिए, उसमें women गति, त्रियंच गति and नरक गति, the way they are treated. Incidence of suicide amongst women is the highest. This is true. एक मुसलमान लीडर क्या बोलता है? Women, according to many worldview, are a source of evil to be covered from head to toe. Oh my gosh, ये हाल है women का. They are perpetual minors to be controlled by their male guardians. आप इसको वर्ल्ड व्यू में देखिए, नॉट जैन वर्स, मैं जैन व्यू भी आपके सामने रखूंगा. तो वर्ल्ड व्यू में देखिए कि विमेन के साथ कितना अत्याचार होता आया भी हो रहा है. बट द ट्रूथ इज, फॉर जनरेशन and most faith in on earth, women were and have been more religious than men, but still denied respect and equal status. हमसे ज्यादा वो रिलीजियस हैं. They are more compassionate and peace-loving. Women's nearly all wars in human history have started by men. Hardly by women, but they were started for women, but not by women. So why do we respect women? वो 50% आधी पॉपुलेशन है और हम उनको ट्रीट नहीं करें कि वो कितना बड़ा अत्याचार है। महावीर ने भगवान महावीर को, कृष्ण को, राम को, बुद्ध को, जीसस क्राइस्ट को किसने जन्म दिया? वो विमेन ने दिया, मैन ने नहीं दिया। और उनको हम इस तरह से ट्रीट करें। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा महावीर की मदर को हम पूजा करें, अरे सभी विमेन को पूजा करें। They deserve highest respect, honor and status in the society equal to or even greater than men. अब आप देखेंगे गांधी जी said to call women the weaker sex is a libel. It is a men's injustice to women. If by strength is meant moral power, then women is immensely men superior. Okay. So coming back to Bhagwan Mahavir and Brahmacharya, what did he do and why did he add that? 2500 साल पहले भी, prior to, during Bhagwan Mahavir time, there was rampant himsa and cruelty to all kinds in this society, in puja, worship, havan, yajna, sacrifice, food, clothing, transport, custom, tradition, to many 1 to 5 cents mobile being, including to women. Okay, and polygamy and prostitution in society were common. And thousands of women used to be bought and sold for sex and were slaves to the kings and kings' men. In fact, कितनी लड़ाइयाँ भगवान महावीर के टाइम हुई हैं just to acquire more women. Prior to even Bhagwan Mahavir time, women had no rights. They were made slaves, traded, sold in open market. ये भगवान महावीर के टाइम की बात है. And this was pure himsa to a 5 cents human being. So भगवान महावीर ने ये देखा तो उसको तो बहुत ही दुख हुआ. जैसे एनिमल सैक्रिफाइस देखा, ऐसे विमेन के साथ जो ट्रीटमेंट देखा, he was absolutely horrified. So what did he do? उससे पहले 4 ही महाव्रत थे. This is what I have heard to know, come to know. So he added the 5th Mahavrat of Brahmacharya, because women were part of the परिग्रह प्रॉपर्टी. उससे पहले परिग्रह में ही आती थी women. इसका मतलब वो प्रॉपर्टी थी. प्रॉपर्टी तो आप जो भी मर्जी आए करिए उनके साथ, उसका सेलिबेसी से कोई मतलब नहीं है. So what were the reason? Why Bhagwan Mahavir? What were the reason, tradition, environment, customs in the society in those days कि भगवान महावीर को 5वां महाव्रत ऐड करना पड़ा? Okay, कोई ऐड नहीं करता unless there was a need. If Mahabharat meant celibacy only, does it mean that prior to Bhagwan Mahavir there was no celibacy? Or very lax attitude to celibacy in the society? But I think celibacy was already there, especially among sadhus and sadhvis. I'm not talking to grihast. So everything applies to grihast, not so much to the sadhus. So why did we have? Most probably celibacy could not only be the reason why he added that. And if he added this, उसके ऐड करने से 5th महाव्रत को, क्या celibacy society में increase हो गई? भगवान महावीर के टाइम, उस टाइम celibacy ज्यादा थी, अब कम है, ऐसा भी नहीं है. Okay, society has always been like this. So मेरा विचार है, भगवान महावीर added ब्रह्मचर्य, अनुव्रत और महाव्रत to eliminate himsa to women, to give them equal rights and emancipation in the society. That is the main reason, not for celibacy only. In my opinion, he had it so that he can give them the power, the prestige, the glory, equal rights. So to give women rights and treatment equal to that of men, the Brahmacharya Mahabharata was added by Bhagwan Mahavir. And prior to that, and even today in some places, women were called and treated as a property of men. Okay. So why did he do that? So along with the elimination of himsa to animals and yag, havan, Mahavir also worked very, very hard. Equally, जो हम लोगों ने probably उतना उसको contribution दिया, श्रेय नहीं दिया है, कि he also worked very hard to eliminate himsa to women. So Bhagwan Mahavir started an action-oriented plan, which you will see. Okay. He planned to give, and he did, women honor, respect, recognition in this society. And what is most important, he was the first one to talk about and give women rights emancipation. आज दुनिया बात करती है women rights की. कितना अच्छा होता कि हम कहते हैं कि 2500 साल पहले हमने यही बातें शुरू करी थी. He taught that both men and women are equal and no acts of violence should be committed towards any living being, including women. And he said the women are men. Women are not men's property. So as a revolutionary and fearless leader, he broke many, many barriers by initiating women as sadhvis and raising their social status. So when somebody starts this kind of thing, which is so prevalent in the society, can you imagine how much opposition Bhagwan Mahavir had to face? Okay, tremendous probably. So what did he do? He accepted and ordained Chandan Bala, which we all know, at least from Shwetambar tradition, definitely. She was made head of the 36,000 sadhvis in the Sangh. And Chandan Bala उससे पहले क्या थी? She was tortured. She was a slave, tortured and sold many, many times. अगर चंदन बाला के साथ ये हाल है तो लाखों लाखों औरतों के साथ भी यही हाल. And he made all women sadhvis and sadhvis an equal member of his Chaturvid Sangh. किसी और community में नहीं मिलेगा ये Chaturvid Sangh equal. So he worked to stop human trafficking. With the help of Chandan Bala, he saved a large number of women. And by the way, this is my somewhat calculation. Many people will say, "Kahan se number lekar ke aaye ho?" But I feel probably as many as 30,000 women from slavery, he made them sadhvis. Okay, 36,000 women thi sadhvis us time. कहीं से ऊपर से टूट करके नहीं पड़ी थी. A lot of them came, in my opinion, from these who had been sold in the open market. And overnight, किसी woman को आज वो दलित है या आज वो बाजार में बिक चुकी है या prostitute है या untouchable है, भगवान महावीर ने उसको इतना high status दे दिया कि उसको साध्वी बना दिया. Overnight, वो spiritual path के ऊपर चली गई और उसका status हमेशा के लिए बढ़ गया. This is what भगवान महावीर did. So he accepted a much larger number. Not only that, उसके टाइम में भगवान महावीर के टाइम में 36,000 साध्वी, 14,000 साधु, 2.5 times. 1,44,000 श्रावक, 3,60,000 श्राविका. Again 2.5 times. Women were always more attracted, more spiritual, more dharmic. So he gave women and same equal rights and privileges in his Sangh. So by doing this, Bhagwan Mahavir gave something which was not there to women: a voice, respect, dignity, equal rights, freedom from torture, emancipation. And he was the first one to give women empowerment. But the truth is that even today, the women don't enjoy the same equal status in this society. Jain society में थोड़ी better है, but दूसरी society में अभी भी अब सती प्रथा की बात करते हैं, only 250 साल पहले, what a torture it was. And we do not fully understand brahmacharya and its significance, social engineering and reforming. The word is social engineering. And generally, many of us male and some even women too are in violation of this great vow of brahmacharya. So let's take a look at the treatment and status of women from their own glasses. हम सब मैन हूँ, उसी तरह से बात करें तो women के perspective से देखें कि क्या होता है. Do they feel really equal today or ever? So that was not the case even when I was born about 80 plus years ago. So let me give you how the things were, at least in the part of India where I was born 80 years ago or 84 years ago. Very little say and rights in financial matters women did not have. No right to parental property, only men had that property. No financial security to a widow, a kind of destitute. उसका एक कमाने वाला चला गया, वो सबके घर के नौकर बन गए, कुछ वही नहीं था. And I've seen this. I'm not just talking and they were covered in parda system, in home delivery by uneducated, unhygienic midwives, and hence a lot of death. उनकी डिलीवरी जब होती थी वो मिडवाइफ इतनी गंदी होती थी, कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं, कोई इसको मेडिकल, और इतनी कॉमन डेथ थी विमेन की ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी, ड्यूरिंग डेथ, ड्यूरिंग डिलीवरी, बहुत ज्यादा. Hardly any women in position of power, victim of dowry and lifelong menace and torture. Even आज भी होता है, मेरे परिवार में भी देखा है मैंने. And there were high rates of suicide, high rates of suicide. So gender selection and abortion as a result now, आजकल इसी वजह से, क्योंकि boys are always preferred. उस तरह की जो आशीर्वाद भी देते थे, तेरे 16 बेटे हों, एक लड़की हो. आज तो उल्टा हो गया इस abortion से कि there are more boys than girls. Preference to produce a male offspring, otherwise very little respect to the women in the household society. अगर किसी औरत ने लड़का पैदा नहीं किया, चाहे वो प्रॉब्लम मैन की हो, लेकिन women को ही ब्लेम किया जाता था. Women could not attend funeral even of their own husbands. वो allowed in था उनको जाना. Not allowed to participate in weddings. Wedding procession जाते थे, उसमें women नहीं allowed. मैं अपने एरिया की बात करता हूँ, हरियाणा की. Not allowed to study. Education of women and girls was not encouraged. भैया ये म्यूट कर दे भैया, बाकी लोग प्लीज. Okay. There were very few schools and colleges for women then. They were not allowed to vote and not allowed to touch pratama and do prakshas in Digambar Jain even today. Why is it only men's right? Bhagwan Pratama, stop crimes on women. Of course, you have seen that. These are India की काफी दुनिया भर में होता है. So when I went to IIT Kharagpur for my study more than 60 years ago, मेरे टाइम में there were no girls in engineering. एक भी क्लास फेलो नहीं थी. मेरे जितने भी प्रोफेसर थे सभी मेल थे. And probably same may be the case in other professions too at that time. And hundreds of such more examples. Because it was all male-dominated society. So, but things have started changing. Okay, there is a silver lining, and you will see. And I'm now talking about Jain community. Some people start thinking, I call Acharya Tulsi a revolutionary Jain Acharya. How proud it is. Bhagwan Mahavir ke baad, at least I may be over exaggerating. इस जैन आचार्य ने इतना बड़ा जबरदस्त काम किया वेमनी मंच पे. A fearless and visionary social engineer and reformer. He preached for the education of women. He worked to stop parda and long and painful mourning celebration on the death of husband by a widow. एक विडो होगी, वो साल भर तक एक किनारे में, एक कॉर्नर में बैठी रहती थी, उसी मायूसी में, mourning में, death की उसमें. And in spite of strong opposition, resistance to change by the Sangh elder. By the way, many Sangh elders of that time, Acharya Tulsi time उन्होंने बताया, जब Acharya Tulsi wanted to give honors, equal status to women, many big elders opposed him कि वो औरतों के मुंह देखना चाहते हैं. Actually, this was quoted to me. So Therapantha Sangh, but he never changed, he never wavered. He established the Institute of Equal Care for the Sick and the old age sadhus and sadhvis. समणी जी आज इसमें हैं, वो बताएंगे कि विमेन साध्वी को भी उतनी ही केयर मिलती है जितनी मेन साधु को मिलती है. अभी पता नहीं मुझे और बाकी संघों में ऐसा है या नहीं है. And he established the order of semi-sadhus and sadhvis, samans and samanis with equal status. अगर वो नहीं करते तो अभी समणी जी जो ना इन functions में नहीं होती. So look at from that perspective. Amar Muni ji, Acharya Chandra ji is guru. Okay, Upadhyaya Amar Muni. Sadhvis of compassion of Virayatan. Seva during natural calamities and helping others. Educational schools in Adivasi areas. Medical facilities. And strong emphasis. ये सब जैन community में अभी पिछले 70-80 साल में हुए हैं. Change. So, With that change, where are we? Status of women today, highest literacy rate. By the way, again, ये जैन community की बात करता हूँ, मुझे नहीं पता बाकी community में क्या हाल है. Highest literacy rate amongst all sections of the Indian society. In Jains, 94% amongst men and 90% amongst women, compared to 53% in Hindu women. Okay, what a difference is made. 2.5 times more women sadhvis than men sadhus. भगवान महावीर ने भी यही किया था, आज भी वही हाल. 10 मेरा ख्याल है 16-17 हजार संघ में हैं, 10,000 साध्वियां हैं और 6-7 हजार साधुज हैं चारों संप्रदाय में. Enjoy higher status and respect than other communities. Much number of higher women in law. आजकल की बात है ये. Judiciary, education, medicine, physicians, business, authors, writers, arts, music, corporate world, administration, politician, and in Jain organization. ये 60 साल पहले नहीं था. ये ऐसे आचार्यों ने किए हैं हमारे ऊपर इतने बढ़िया कि उनकी वजह से यहाँ ये जैन समय समापन. Women can freely enter all Jain places of worship. मुझे नहीं पता है कि कोई ऐसी जैन मंदिर है जहाँ women नहीं जा सकती. I don't think there's anything like Sabrimala. Okay. North America में in Jaina, several women occupy positions of directors, chairpersons of several committees, members of executive committee. This is true today. Lataben Chamsi became the president of Jaina in 2009 to 2011. Okay. देखिए अमेरिका में थोड़े little bit we had not much. Several Jain endowed academic position. अभी अनिल जी ने उन्होंने बताया कि now we are about 32. उसमें मोहिनी जैन endowed chair at UC Davis. Alka Dalal endowed postdoctoral position at Rutgers University. 6 female members of Jaina Academic Liaison Committee. अब total 27 member हैं और मैं कोशिश करता रहता हूँ हर वक्त more and more women members हम उसमें Jaina Academic Liaison Committee में लाएं. Really, we all are trying. At least 4 female academics teaching Jainism today. 30 और 32 जितने भी हैं उसमें 4 जैन women हैं. कोई भी एक जैन मैन नहीं है. प्रोफेसर क्लेरमॉन्ट स्कूल ऑफ थियोलॉजी, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैलिफोर्निया डेविस, कैल पोली पोमोना, राइस यूनिवर्सिटी. वो चारों की चारों अपनी जैन विमेन जो है ना वो प्रोफेसर हैं. एंड many of them are big philanthropists. मोहिनी जैन ने she has given at least maybe 16 crore rupees so far. Okay. सर्वोदय movement. Gandhi ji ne kaha equality of women in all respect was part of Gandhi's Sarvodaya movement too. So when I started looking, Gandhi ji gave a new name to Harijan, Dalit. He said Harijan to Dalits untouchable for their emancipation. Similarly, Bhagwan Mahavir gave the vow of Brahmacharya for the emancipation of women. Okay. Gandhi ji ne Harijan naam diya, Bhagwan Mahavir ne Brahmacharya vrat diya. Okay. And the result is just last week का है ये Wall Street Journal से Wharton School, which is a very famous school, very top school for business. 52% of the coming class is women these days. This is just only July 31st, only for 3 days ago. 29 by the way. Okay, this was not the case before. Of course, वो सब जैन नहीं है. In the name of liberty, security, and women's rights. There are a lot of things come out. This is a newspaper in Columbus, Ohio, only about a month ago. So there are a lot of issues in that, okay, women's rights and women emancipation. Gandhi ji, women is the incarnation of Ahimsa. Ahimsa means infinite love, which again means infinite capacity for suffering. So Bhagwan Mahavir added Brahmacharya. This again, I have been keep on telling, this is my way of looking, for emancipation of women, for their recognition as equal human members of the society, for women rights. And it will be wrong to assume that Bhagwan Mahavir added Brahmacharya only for celibacy reasons. It's much bigger than that. Vow of Brahmacharya is about women empowerment, emancipation, women rights. And हम जैनियों ने कभी इस बारे में ज्यादा प्रचार नहीं किया टू द बेस्ट ऑफ माय नॉलेज. We Jain should be the leader, activist, pro-activist, and in the forefront and telling the whole of the world कि भैया आप लोग तो women rights की अब बात करते हो, हमने तो 2500 साल पहले ये बातें शुरू करी थी. उन लोगों के साथ हमें join करना चाहिए. Otherwise we are just not known. We will be known if we want to. So let's, as long as anyone who tortures and insults women and treats them as inferior, unequal, and without respect, and I say this to applies to sadhus and sadhvis and shravak and shravikas, क्योंकि साधुओं को भी ये देखना पड़ेगा, मेल साधुओं को, कि हम साध्वियों को पूरी उसी तरह का इक्वल स्टेटस देते हैं नहीं देते हैं. There's nothing inferiority about them, and commits significant himsa to 5 sense human beings, okay, and does not understand and follow brahmacharya or brahmacharya Mahabharat as I do. And brahmacharya is a message of emancipation and empowerment of women. And I just call it otherwise just merely a slogan if you don't do that. So let us remember, as long as anyone who tortures and insults, oh, yeah, ho gaya. So I think we come to, so this is all I wanted to say. बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबका for listening to me. This is a different view of my, that I think the Brahmacharya Vrat is, and we need to open our minds and look at a different direction, not just purely stay in celibacy only. And we need to hopefully join with other world organizations about this slogan that we created 2500 years. Jai Jinendra.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर सुलेख जी. मैं तो वाई एंड